Hello my friends, I hope you're having a lovely day. Before we get into today's video, I just want to say I think I'm coming down with a cold. I'm very stuffy. I apologize for how I sound. In today's video, we're going to talk about Brain Age making a return. The series was announced for Switch over in Japan. It's coming out very late in December. We haven't heard anything about a European or a North American release. I'm sure that will happen. But yeah, it's coming back. It's going to use some new features. It's going to use the Joy-Con IR camera for the old rock, paper, scissors game. They show a game where you use the Joy-Con to basically count how many birds are in a picture, and you click in the amount of birds that you see. And obviously, there's a lot more of the traditional stuff in there. Math problems and all that. Also, they're releasing a stylus for the Switch to go with it, so you can, do all the handwriting recognition that is necessary and circle the correct answers and all that good stuff. So it's very much Brain Age with a few new bells and whistles. We've seen a number of Brain Age games over the years, but I think now is the right time for Brain Age to return. The original Brain Age games came out all the way back in 2005, and they quickly became a mega hit. The series just really took off. The DS was doing well. It was the right type of software for the platform at the time. It reached a whole new expanded audience. Commercials were all over TV. People were talking all about it. I certainly played a lot of it. I know a lot of people in my family who played a ton of it too. And it was just a mega success for Nintendo. I think the first one sold something like 19 million units. And the second was like 14 or 15 million units, and that was back in 2005, like I said, and it was amazing. It was a really big phenomenon. It was like a cultural movement for games, and there were a whole bunch of other companies out there that tried to mimic what Brain Age was and put their own twist on it, and it started a whole line of games that were like Brain Age. I guess you'd call it edutainment, and they were all looking for a piece of the market. So obviously things got flooded and people kind of got tired of it, and Nintendo wasn't doing too much with the brand because there was just enough competitors out there that, people had become tired of that type of game. While there was a DSiWare release of regular Brain Age stuff in 2008, fast forward to 2012 when we had Brain Age Concentration Training, which was on the 3DS, and that game just didn't seem to catch on. It just wasn't anywhere near the success that the original titles were. And there's any number of reasons for that. The DS really was an amazing platform that really took off in a huge way. But the 3DS never really reached that market that the DS did. Even though the 3DS is still out there and racking up sales, it's not going to hit what the DS did. And it really wasn't the cultural movement that the DS was, so it just didn't reach that same audience. And then on top of that, it was a 7-year difference between Brain Age, the first two Brain Age games, and this new installment on the 3DS. And that didn't give people like a ton of time in between installments. I know to say 7 years isn't a lot of time. It's a bit silly, but still, as far as video games go, people were playing Brain Age for a couple years there, if not more. They had, worked it into their daily routine or their weekly routine, so they didn't really see anything that was in Brain Age Concentration Training that made them want to pick it up. They were like, oh, I've seen all that, I've done all of it. And as far as I know, I did some research to try and find sales data on how much that game sold worldwide, but it really wasn't a lot. I don't even know if it reached 1 million around the entire world, so don't quote me on that, but obviously it didn't reach anywhere near what the other versions did. And then for some strange reason, it didn't release in Europe until like 5 years later. I don't know what the hell happened with the European release. It just disappeared. And then when it finally came out with very little fanfare, and obviously nobody cared about it at that point. In time, because the 3DS was much later in its lifespan, and people just weren't buying that software. So the Brain Age Concentration Training really is a bit of a low point for the franchise, not in terms of quality, but in terms of reception from players out there. So here we are another 7 years later after the last Brain Age game with Brain Age Switch Training, and that seems like the right amount of time to pass for people who played the original to be like, yeah, I remember Brain Age, I had a lot of fun with that. And they've got a considerable amount of time now in their lives that has passed, and they're like, I wonder how sharp I am now, I wonder how much better or worse I am at this kind of stuff. And it has people looking back fondly on the Brain Age series because they remember the DS installment. They don't remember the 3DS installment. Again, that version really didn't sell well. Millions upon millions upon millions of people who played the original Brain Age didn't get that 3DS installment. So for them, this is like, oh yeah, this is that series. I used to have a lot of fun with that. It'd be cool to check it out again. So I really think now is a great time for the Brain Age series to return, coupled with how well the Switch is doing. It's doing really well. There's a whole bunch of expanded audience stuff that's on the platform already. Nintendo has Ring Fit Adventure on the way out, which is certainly something more akin to Wii Fit or Wii Fit Plus. And this will go along with that nicely. We don't know the release dates here in North America or Europe, as I said, but I'm sure it's going to come to both regions at some point. So couple those two together, and I think you could have something really special. But yeah, I just think it's the amount of time that passed between those players who have played the original Brain Age all the way back in 2005, and now that'll really reignite their interest in jumping back into the franchise. I'd love to hear from you guys. Did you play the original Brain Age and then skip over the 3DS installment? And are you planning on get this Switch one when it does come stateside, or if you're going to import the Japanese version? I'd love to know. Or maybe this is your first time with the Brain Age series, or maybe you played the first one and you're done. You've seen all there is, you think, and you don't want to get into the new one. So yeah, let me know. Head to the comments below and share your thoughts. But that's it for today's video. Thanks so much for watching, liking, subscribing, and commenting. It's very much appreciated. Also, a huge thank you to the Patreon gang. Thank you so much for supporting me over there. I really appreciate it. You guys doing that allows me to do what I do. The site, these videos, Twitter, Facebook, all that stuff. It's really appreciated. Thank you so much. If you want to learn more about the Patreon, you can check out the link in the description below. But for today, that's it. I'll be back tomorrow with something. Not sure what, but I will be here. So until then, have a lovely day and a lovely evening, and I'll see you in a few short hours.